Unfortunately, he was talking to deaf ears because football was my life. So after 20 years of persuasion, I finally wilted and we went to this season's World Club Championship. I know about the rules of union because that's all the rugby we get up here in Scotland. But anyway, we headed south for a great weekend. I didn't know much of the rules of rugby league, but knew the basics and would just ask the old man what was happening when I was unsure. We had an amazing weekend taking in the 3 matches, but Mark will probably not like this bit. I've adopted the Saints as my team because we had an amazing welcome and crack with the Saints fans compared to the Wigan and Rhino support, who were just a wee bit standoffish, but some nice folks nonetheless. So after the weekend, I searched for more info like radio podcasts and thankfully came across you guys and haven't looked back. We went down to Magic Weekend on the Sunday and had a great day watching up the 3 matches. I wanted to see the Saints, who got humped, lol, and the old man was wanting to see the Aussies who play for Catalans, especially Big Dave Taylor. It was interesting that the fans only really came to see their own teams and not watch the whole day as a spectacle, but I understood it because if it was football I would never hang around to watch Rangers or Hearts if the Scottish FITBA saw an event like that. Heard a lot of pundits and you guys saying this season hasn't been the most exciting, but I've enjoyed it nonetheless. We're all booked up for some of the Four Nations matches as well, the doubleheader at Coventry and the final at Anfield because my dad's super confident his Kangaroos will be there. I'm not going to make the final now because me and my family decided to emigrate back to Oz in July and we fly out on the Monday right after the Coventry doubleheader. I have made it that date so I can have a goodbye sesh with my dad at Coventry. He's got a work colleague to go with him to Anfield. So guess what? I'm heading to Australia with a newfound love for rugby league, but I'm going to Perth in Western Australia where there's no NRL teams to support, but now I have a reason to head to the pub. Thanks for the mentions on your amazing podcast and I fully appreciate the times you guys put into it for free to make the show. Keep up the amazing work, lads. Cheers, Kev K.
Couldn't be more worth it, the wait for that, could it?
That's brilliant. Yeah, we love a good round ball convert.
Absolutely. And a Scotsman emigrating to Australia. Which is the most westerly NRL side? Is it Penrith? No,
I would have guessed it's Melbourne.
Melbourne, yeah.
It's still a good
by proxy a Melbourne fan then, surely.
Well, he could be anyone, I suppose.
He could pick whoever he likes, absolutely. No, that's
maybe a Raiders fan, the green machine.
Yeah,
wear green.
That's it. Yeah, very good. No, fantastic, and thank you very, very much for first of all listening.
Or also George fan if he likes filthy red V's on his tops.
Yes, he does. That might be the easiest transition for him. But thank you so much for getting in touch, Kev, and for all your support via Facebook and for just listening generally. So
yeah,
superb. Right.
On a similar theme, another email that landed as well is from
a big week.
Phil Nadin or Nadin. He didn't clarify how to pronounce it, but we'll go with Nadin. He got in touch.
Nadin.
Let's do our bit with it then.
Yeah, it's got to be.
Hi Mark and Tom. Hi Tom and Mark. Sorry, you go first this time. Hi Tom and Mark. After listening to the challenge,
priorities in order.
After listening to the Challenge Cup podcast and being name checked and told off at the same time, I've taken the hint.
Not very quickly.
Right, a quick intro about myself. I was born in Blackpool Victoria Hospital in 1971, raised up in Bispham, North Shore. I had a couple of jobs in and around Polton before joining the RAF in 1989. I did 9 years and played rugby league for the Cambridge Eagles for a couple of years in the early 90s. My love of rugby league came from school, where I found I could send the cock of the school flying and not get beaten up.
Yep.
Being from Blackpool, Wigan and Blackpool were my teams, but after Blackpool went under and marrying a woman from Hull, I was forced to rethink my allegiances. The wife's family split between Rovers and FC, with her sister, some cousins and an uncle being FC season pass holders. I jumped on the FC bandwagon a few years ago. Working nights as a truck driver through the week, I can't get to many of the games. I just book nights off for the big games. Well, that's it. I've been listening to your podcast since the beginning of the season, along with other rugby podcasts to listen to. And soon, 2 rugby podcasts got dumped pretty quickly after listening and favouring yours. And with you based in the Northwest, there was no contest. I cheated and got the wife to do the game review for the League Leaders Shield game, even though I was there, but put my name on it. She's got all the GCSEs. I'll try and be more active from now on. Cheers, Phil Nadin.
Well, fantastic. And, he's another Fylde Coast native, so that's...
Yeah, it's brilliant.
Something for you, isn't it?
Well, he was born in the same hospital as me.
So there you go.
A few years apart, but more years than you think, obviously, but less...
Yeah. I've had a quick look. He follows us. He's followed us both on Twitter. He certainly followed me anyway on Twitter. I had a quick look, and he definitely looks about your age. So that's wonderful. And yeah, Phil, thanks very much indeed for getting in touch, mate. Please feel free to keep it up and keep listening. And
it's brilliant.
I'm glad you were able to separate the wheat from the chaff in terms of your rugby league podcast.
I'd love to hear about him from any sort of Blackpool Borough supporting days way back when, because my favourite thing to do at the Summer Bash is get drunk and tell everyone about, see that cinema there?
Yeah, it's great fun. Can't wait for next year.
So yeah.
Fantastic. Right, well that is your exceptionally interesting and lengthened feedback and shout outs taken care of. Let's take a look now at news from around the world of rugby league. Right, so into the news then, and Hull FC's Gareth Ellis and Danny Houghton, and also Castleford's Denny Solomona are the 3 nominees for the 2016 Steve Prescott Man of Steel Award. The nominees... Sorry, I just had a right good look at Mark's top, tits out, all over the podcast. Are you finished now?
I've taken my jumper off,
That was quite spectacular. That was a lot of white flesh. Cheers, mate. I'll start again. Hull FC's Gaz Ellis and Danny Houghton and Castleford's Denny Solomona are the 3 players nominated for this year's 2016 Steve Prescott Man of Steel Award. The nominees for Super League Young Player of the Year Award are Wigan prop forward Ryan Sutton, Wakefield Trinity winger Tom Johnston, and 20-year-old back rower Matt Whitley of the Widnes Vikings. So I took the opportunity, much as you just did, to whip out a certain part of my anatomy, and we got Tom's poll out this week, Mark, and it was quite a simple one. Who should win the Man of Steel, Houghton, Solomona or Ellis? And the result was a resounding mate, 50% for Danny Houghton, 30% for Danny Solomona, and Gaz Ellis bringing up the rear with 20% of the vote. And of course we got some feedback as well, didn't we?
Yeah, linked into that. So Paul Michael Craig, he got in touch, he said, honestly, that is the weakest shortlist I've ever seen. Surely Snade, Shaw, Hill, Curry or Clark had better seasons. Colin Render got in touch, he said, Houghton has been great, but to get that try record, Denny deserves Man of Steel. Whoever wins, they deserve it, though. Paul Campbell got in touch. This makes... I don't know what... He just said... He wrote... These are the words he wrote. Danny, Gareth, Houghton, Ellis, laughy face. Elliot Wren, she said, an endless...
It's great input as always, Paul. Cheers, mate. Thank God he's going off to support the Nottingham Panthers.
Glory supporter, innit, eh?
All right. I don't know, are they any good?
Yeah.
Right, they are then.
I think they won last year. I think that they were the top team last year.
Oh, right.
Yeah. Soon, in the NRL off season, you'll be able to catch them in the Champions Hockey League of Europe or something on Premier Sports. Anyway, Elliot Wrench, he said, an endless debate, I reckon, but Solomona from those. Try scoring feet on its own. Bob Phillips says, if MOS is about the one who's made the most difference, doesn't Houghton get it? What's your view?
Houghton, for me. I know you disagree, and I know you feel like he has had not necessarily the standout season, he's just been in a standout team, but I think when you look at his contribution, first of all, defensively, it speaks for itself in terms of where he shows up in defence. But I think it's irrelevant to talk about his defence because his defence has been what it has been. In fact, last year he made more tackles, better tackle success than this year. And it's been augmented this season, I feel, by his offensive performances as well, and that's what's tipped him over the edge for me. You watch him play way more tries and assists than he averages over his career. Yeah, you're right. Contributes much more on offence, and he kicks the ball out of his hand a bit more than he has done as well, which takes some of the pressure off Mark Sneyd. So he's not just a ball playing hooker in the sense of his distribution, he's also kicking them out of the park, and that's an extra offensive weapon. And his kicking game has been very, very good this year. And I think, as much as I credit Dennis Solomon with finishing a lot of tries off and scoring a lot of tries and setting that record and having an exemplary season for a winger, there's a lot of other people's contributions that go into getting you those 40 tries and getting you over the line. Take nothing away from what he's achieved. And Gaz Ellis brings a lot of leadership, but within that pack there is a group of guys that have all been very, very solid, and above them is the leadership that they get from Danny Houghton, so that's why he would get my vote. For me, Houghton would be my third choice of these three. That's not to knock Danny Houghton. Well, of course it's not, and there's tons of people that could have been in this conversation. I don't think Danny Houghton has
I think the only reason Danny Houghton's game maybe have appeared to have elevated at all is because of what's around him. I think he's had a far stronger and more consistent pack of forwards in the middle unit around him. I think he's had a Mark Snade playing a lot better than he did last year, and Carlos Tumavave being the running threat that Leon Price was 10 years ago, that he can't be now.
Yeah.
And those things all combined, with Jamie Shaw as well popping off the back of some of his balls, has given him the better, made him look better. I think
it's given him the license and the platform to perform better in attack.
Yeah, I think he hasn't made as much of a difference.
And he's performed better.
But I think the other people have made a difference to how Danny Houghton's perceived. Danny Houghton should have been perceived as a top class player who's just below that world class, like that, just below that international class level for the last 6 years. I think other than the year, there was 1 year where he was injured for a bulk of the season, and 1 year where he probably didn't have a great year, and then 1 year where he split time with Aaron Jeremiah in the last 6 seasons. And he's topped the tackle charts in, I think, 4 of those. Every other one of the years before this one, if I remember rightly, he's had a better tackle success rate than he's had this year.
What's his tackle success rate this year?
It's decent, but it's a bit down on last year. Where he has improved, like you said, was the attacking offensive numbers in terms of tries and tries assists in particular. Danny Houghton's been exceptional. I think Gareth Ellis has made more of a difference to that side in a way that isn't maybe as measurable, but is clearer when you watch the team, the way they operate, how they are led, how they have got a confidence that they haven't had before, how they gain ground and then find themselves set up better. I think is off the back of forwards, and I think Ellis has led that group more so than Houghton, who has been exceptional. But I would give it to Solomona. I think when you achieve a record like what he's achieved this year, we've had some amazing try scorers in Super League in the last decade, since the Maguire and Vainicolo race for who can score the most million tries first year, when they both scored really well that year. Was it 2005?
4 or 5 on it,
But since then we've had Monaghan, we've had Charnley, we've had Pat Richards. There's been people scoring. Tommy Makinson. There's been try scorers littered throughout the league. Justin Carney. None of them have done what this guy did. His strike rate in 2015 was phenomenal. He just didn't play as many games. He scored tries from all over the field, all different sorts of tries, from kicks high, from kicks low, close range, narrow finishes to the corner post, long range, solo efforts, team efforts. He scored every sort of try, and I just think you can't discount that level of try scoring performance. At the end of the day, the aim is to win rugby league matches, and to win rugby league matches, you normally have to score a few tries. And he's the one on the list that has that about what he's done. I would give it to Dennis Solomona.
I take your point. He has scored a lot of tries, and it's a phenomenal achievement what he's done in the game. But it's on the back of playing within a side that is a very attack-minded group of players with some exceptionally gifted distributors of the ball, putting the ball in his hand. A centre who works phenomenally hard to create space for him and give him opportunities. Take nothing away from the tries where he scores, where it's individual efforts, and the athleticism of the young man is without question. But as a man of steel, for me, there's a leadership side to it as well, and you don't necessarily see that, although his contribution can't be knocked, which is why Houghton gets the nod for me. Interesting that neither of us have plumped for Gaz Ellis, who's a very popular choice as well, and has obviously had an exceptionally strong season.
We would both have Ellis ranked second, would we? Or would you have Solomona?
No, I'd have Ellis second.
There you go.
Strange how it works out, isn't it?
No, in terms of Young Player of the Year, our SLP Young Player of the Year, I think, counts a year older than these guys included in it. But Ryan Sutton's missed only 1 game in the Super League campaign and played in a number of different positions and played very consistently. Tom Johnston obviously when he has been able to play has been really exciting. Inconsistent, you'd sort of expect that of a young player in terms of his overall contribution to games, but the talent, the flair, the try scoring has been there for everyone to see. And Matt Whitley, now at this